Democrats push for nationwide mail-in voting, and that continues. Boy, 7 states have already used COVID as an excuse to open their elections up to massive fraud and corruption. Now, Democrats in Nevada are looking to join them. Yesterday, on a party line vote without any debate, Democrat state lawmakers passed a bill to mail all registered voters their ballots ahead of the November election. Now, the bill is so egregious that President Trump is, of course, considering doing something about it.
Universal mail-in ballots is going to be a great embarrassment to our country.
Is there an executive order on this?
Well, I have the right to do it. We haven't gotten there yet, but we'll see what happens. We will be suing in Nevada, and that's already been taken care of. We'll probably file something tomorrow.
Joining me now is Adam Laxalt, former Nevada Attorney General. Adam, what does this mean for the next election? I can foresee what will happen, right? However many votes Trump is leading by, or, they'll find those ballots somewhere at some point in the next week after the election. But in states where this is going on, how can voters actually know their votes are being traced, tracked, and counted?
Well, it's going to lead to mass chaos and uncertainty. It'll certainly lead to litigation, assuming the state is going to be very close. And it was only 26,000 votes in 2016. We're not going to know who won if it's a close election, and we're going to be fighting over every single ballot. And what's crazy about this is that they noticed this on a Friday morning. They never showed it to the head of elections, the Secretary of State. She was not part of it. She didn't get to write it. No Republicans saw it. And then they want to have us believe that this is just for the public. It's a bipartisan affair. I don't think anything good comes out of a midnight weekend special session to fundamentally alter our election.
So let me just get this straight. You can go gamble at the casinos, and we love the casinos, but you can go gamble at the casinos, but you can't go vote.
Oh, it's worse than that.
And you can't go to church.
It's worse than that.
And you can't go to church in Nevada without the government breathing down your throat. But you can go to the liquor store, the casinos, and everything else. How do people not see what's going on here?
Well, it's worse than that, because in the bill is that there's going to be more in-person early vote election sites than ever in our history in Las Vegas, in Clark County, and more election day. So I thought this was about COVID. I thought it was too dangerous to vote in person. We're going to have the largest in-person election at the same time. So this governor who tells us the construction of the Las Vegas Raiders Stadium has to go on during the entire COVID with positives in these sites is now telling us it's not safe to vote.
It's a very confusing message. Here's a Nevada reporter downplaying the risk of fraud from corruption and the mail-ins. Watch.
There was a lot of public comment to that effect, that this was going to be some source of major fraud in the state of Nevada, just because you can allow someone now that's not a family member. Previously it had to be a family member. Now it can be someone else that can help a vulnerable person fill out their ballot.
Adam, they always say there's no evidence of voter fraud, so it was really a big deal?
It's absolutely a big deal. This is exactly what the media says. There's no evidence. You chronicle it. I've chronicled it. There's clearly voter fraud all over the country, and this is a huge deal. And she's talking about ballot harvesting, which was illegal in the state of Nevada until this new bill was passed. And your voters or your listeners have heard of granny harvesting. Imagine paid Democrat operatives or Republicans being able to go into senior living homes, take advantage of our elders, hand them ballots, and in this legislation they can even sign it for them. So this thing is absolutely ripe for fraud. And the biggest thing is we are not ready for this as a state. We don't have the resources to do a large presidential election.
It's going to be a disaster, and let me tell you, this will drag out this election. And if you thought there was civil unrest a couple months ago or a month and a half ago, I'm worried about that. That's what I'm worried about. Both sides. People are going to be very fed up at that point. Adam, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for this. And vote by mail is probably the worst way to hold elections. There's the potential